Hi guys, in today's video we are going to create a scroll indicator with JavaScript. I have an example on my website, and as you can see, if I scroll down the page, the indicator appears at the top of the fixed navigation menu. A scroll indicator shows us how much percentage we have scrolled down a page, and also gives us a clue on how much content is there left to scroll through. But in order for the indicator to work correctly, it has to reach a width of 100% if there is no more content to scroll through. If I scroll back to the top, the indicator's width is 0, that's why we cannot see it. Okay, and with that said, let's jump to my editor and recreate the example that we saw. I'm gonna need 3 files. The first file that I need is an index.html file, and it is the file that we see right here. Next, I'm gonna need an empty JavaScript file so we can write our JavaScript code. And last, we have a styles.css file in which we are going to write the CSS code. I already have a rule to reset all HTML elements from their default margin and padding. And by setting the box sizing property to border box, I'm going to be sure that the dimensions of an element are not going to change if I apply padding to it. And in the second rule, I'm targeting the body element and set some basic properties. Now let's go back to the index file and start coding. In here I have a basic HTML structure with a link to the style sheet and a link to the JavaScript file. There is nothing else here to say, so let's start building our page layout. Now inside the body tags, I'm going to create a div element with a class of navWrapper. Inside the navWrapper element, I will create another div element with a class of indicator. Below the indicator, I'm going to create a nav element with some links inside. And we are done with the navWrapper. Next, I'm going to create an element with a class of content, and I'm going to place inside some dummy text so we can scroll through the page. And that is all the HTML that we need. Now let's see what we have done. The index file is already loaded, so let's do a refresh on the page. And let's go to the style sheet to write the CSS. Now let's start with a navWrapper. I want this element to stick at the top of the page, so I will set the position to sticky and the top property to 0. I will give the element a background color of white and a drop shadow. Next, I'm going to target the indicator and I will give it a height of 5 pixels, a width of 0 and a bluish background color. The indicator element is not visible at this time because we have set the width to 0. We are going to manipulate the indicator's width from the JavaScript file. Next, I'm going to give the nav element a padding of 20 pixels. Next, I'm going to target the links inside the nav element and make them look pretty. Next, I will give the content element a max width of 700 pixels and center it in the page. Next, I will style the h2 element, the h3 element, and the dummy text. That is all the CSS code that we need. Now let's scroll down the page to see if the navigation menu stays at the top. Nice. Now let's go to the JavaScript file and make the scroll indicator to work. The first thing that I will do is to target the indicator element, this one. Next, I will assign an on-scroll event listener on the window object, so every time we scroll, a function will run. Now the window object has a property called scrollY. The scrollY property returns the number of pixels that the document is scrolled. Let's log the scrollY property in the console to see this in action. I'm going to reload the page and press F12 to open the DevTools. As I scroll down, we see in the console the height of the scrolled document. At this point, I have scrolled down 677 pixels. Now I have to find a way to turn this number to a percentage number of the whole document. For that, I need to know the height of the document. Okay, that's easy. I'm going to target the HTML tags using the document element property, and then I will use the scroll height property to get the height of the whole document. and I will store the result in the document height variable. Now I will go inside the function and I will divide the number that the scroll Y property returns by the document height and multiply it by 100. This will give me the percentage number of the scrolled document. Next I will target the indicator and set its width. This code will be executed every time we scroll through the page. Let's see if it works. And it works, but there is a problem. We reached the end of the page, but the indicator has not reached its full width. That is because there is still content in the viewport, but we cannot scroll further down. To fix this, I have to get the height of the viewport and subtract it from the document's height. Hope it makes sense. So let's do this. This time I will use the client height property on the document element, and this will get me the viewport's height. And then inside the function I will subtract it from the document height. Let's see now if it works. And yes, it works. Scrolling down and up again. Nice. And that's all for today, guys. Hope you liked the video. Subscribe if you like. See you in the next one.